Can we get like a female Uncle Sam, like Uncle Sarah with like the Constitution and Romans just motorboating it? That would be
It'd
a
be
good one
Aunt
too.
Sarah, I think. Uncle Sarah, you're definitely going to lose about half the electorate.
uh,
Oh, America. Well, I mean, it is kind of a nice idea, all the different people together.
What? No, essentially, you're a good guy.
Welcome to Suc10, where we break down episodes of the hit HBO series Succession in 10 minutes. I am one of your hosts, Jamie G. Esquire, the fifth master of the decision desk.
Okay, we can't uncall Wisconsin, can we? That would make us all look pretty unprofessional.
I'm here with my co-host, Magnum Mills, and we're going to break down the 8th episode of Season 4, the final season of Succession, titled America Decides.
Jamie G, I know you're not a doctor, but until you qualify, let's just get you on the air. I'm Magnum Mills, and thank you for checking out Suc10, presented by Regular Dudes Watch Stuff. Find us wherever you get your pods. Find us on YouTube. Just search for Suc10. That's SUC, the number 1, the number 0, or Regular Dudes Watch Stuff on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. And please, if you're going to fly, don't be a drunk pilot and forget your flaps. Follow, like, and please subscribe. It helps other people find the show. We really appreciate it. That's all we ask. Please and thank you.
And this is a full-on spoiler show. Every single thing about Succession is up for discussion, including the next time on. This is your first and final warning. Hit us with those episode details, and then it's time to get down to business.
This is Season 4, Episode 7, the 37th overall episode of Succession, titled America Decides, directed by Andres Perec. This is the 6th episode of Succession that he has directed. He previously directed Kill List earlier in Season 4. Written by show creator, showrunner Jesse Armstrong. The predictably short and vague plot synopsis is: on election night, Tom tries to manage an increasingly chaotic newsroom while Kendall, Shiv, and Roman spar over the consequences of the result for themselves, the company, and the country. That sounds like a lot to talk about, and we've only got 10 minutes to do it, starting now.
Well, we'll kick it off by giving our overall thoughts on America Decides. Just a crazy episode. It was very, very, very intense. From start to finish. We got a bunch of the Disgusting Brothers. We got all family members trying to turn on each other. Oh, buddy, loaded with great quotes. Very funny, very serious. Had you on the edge. I gotta say, the wasabi eyes was just perfect. This episode was great. I mean, can you just feel how tense it is? I mean, it was just, I don't know, man. This is why I love Succession, right?
Yeah, definitely a great one for me. Not a lot of complaints. I really liked how it sets everything up for the final stretch of the last 2 episodes. They pretty much dropped all the bombs, right? So nobody really has any information that they all don't have. So it's about as level of a playing field as I think you could have going into the home stretch here. And I like where they placed the election here in episode 8. I think it worked really well here. And everybody got their moments, right? This episode, I think everybody had their time to shine and to get, knocked down like their Chumbawamba. Will they get up again? I don't know. But I think we now have a pretty clear idea of, I guess, what everyone's motivations and alliances are going into the final 2. Jamie G, we've been teasing the election since basically the pilot, so a lot of hype going into it. Do you think this episode made good on all that hype and promise?
I think they did. I think for what it was, there's not much more you could have did with it. I think they pretty much nailed it. What about you, Magnum Mills? Do you think they made good on it?
Yeah, it was a lot of hype, but again, they didn't quite settle it. You don't really necessarily have a clear winner coming out of it. Yeah, a lot of hype built in, like you said, some real world parallels, some great character development, fun lines. Yeah, it was a tough bar, but I think they cleared it.
What is going on with our boy Greg? He's not just playing both sides. I mean, he's playing the whole shape here, right? I mean, this guy is...
Yeah, he's doing a Mia Wallace, making a little square there. I mean, you got to give him credit. He folds like a lawn chair when Kendall asked him about Shiv, so he still hasn't quite found that spine yet. I don't think it's impossible that maybe he just ditches Royce entirely and just jumps in with Matsson. I mean, would it even surprise you if now, somehow Shiv splits up for Matsson and then all of a sudden Greg is Matsson's inside man or something like that? I like it. I loved him getting busted back down to Greg.
Not Samson, not! I want you Gregging for me. You're busted back down to Greg tonight.
That was a highlight of the episode for me, that bit with Tom. And man, dude's still, again, just failing upwards. He is just fucking clueless. Like that whole scene with Jess and her trying to be like, you could just wait a couple minutes, and him just like right over his head, man. What do you think, man? Why did Shiv choose this moment to both apologize to Tom and to tell him that she's pregnant? Was this real? She just felt she had to do it, or was she possibly trying to leverage Tom's power in calling the election?
I know everyone hates me for this, but it's Magnum Mills. What am I going to say? A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. And here's the reason why, okay? She wanted to tell him, I think, on the balcony in the previous episode, in that heated argument, he hit her with some harsh shit when he said, and maybe you're not the right person to have children with. That's a tough thing. She wanted Tom maybe edging closer to her side on this because she's legit concerned about the end of the world if Mankins wins, right? So I think it was well played, and we finally got it. You know, it wasn't necessarily how I thought we were going to get it, but we got it in terms of her finally telling him. His reaction, though, oh, dude.
That even true?
What?
Pure Succession right there. Are you at all surprised that Roman is all in with Mencken?
Not really. I think Mencken is just giving him whatever it was he was seeking from Logan, whether it's affirmation, responsibility, just to be kind of accepted as a powerful peer. I don't know what it is, but he's definitely getting something from that relationship he's not getting anywhere else. Let's be honest here. I think Roman's personal politics probably aren't that far off from Mencken's. So I do think that makes some sense here. How about your boy Kendall, man? Are you surprised that he had trouble making this big call?
I think Kendall in his mind thinks he can have his cake and eat it too. He thought he could get the right candidate in terms of like, let's not like end the world by electing this monster, but I can also get this, you know, the other side, Jimenez and them to block this deal for me. He really wanted that, but in the end, he had no choice once he realized Shiv, you know, betrayed him. Any thoughts on the way Connor ended his illustrious campaign? I mean, you gotta love Con, man.
I don't know, man. He might have folded harder than Greg did there. It was all like, oh, you know, the only elections are so much fun when you're in it. And then as soon as they lose Kentucky, he's like, yo, what's up with this deal? What's up with them ambassadorships? I mean, I don't know, man. Dude blew over 100 mil just to be the ambassador to Slovenia.
Vienna for lunch, Venice for dinner.
And Dubrovnik for breakfast.
He actually had principles. He tossed them all out just to do this deal. And let's be honest here, man. Willa is probably both going to be a better ambassador than him, and she's probably going to be set on Slovenia in about, I don't know, 2 weeks or so. So maybe we'll talk about that in predictions. What do you think, man? Do you like the way they handled Kendall and Roman discovering that Shiv was working against them with Madsen?
I do, and here's why. Because I like that it happened in the heat of a moment as the clock is ticking. And they did it when a decision needed to be made. Roman's all in on making it. Ken's kind of undecided. They did it when it was at a boiling point in terms of like, hey, we're on the clock. We got 1 second. We got to make a decision here. What are we doing? I just thought it was really well played. Any thoughts on the way that real world political trends dominated this episode? I mean, this was about as close to what we've seen recently as anything that I've seen.
Yeah, I think they definitely pulled a lot from real life. If you listen to the Insider podcast or whatever they have up there on HBO, they talked about bringing in real political consultants, real people who have run election desks for CNN. I think dude used to be the head of CNN. So they tried to make this as real as possible, and it definitely was a little bit scary. This idea that they can almost maybe not help a guy win, but they can push, you know, they can encourage turnout, discourage turnout, just the way they cover what they choose not to cover. Definitely really interesting, man. And it already got me stressed out for the presidential election, and that's like 18 months away. So
it was definitely crazy. I'm the master of the decision desk, Magnum Mills. So believe me when I tell you that our favorite part of Succession, it's the dialogue. It's time to give you our favorite quotes of the episode. I'm up first here, dude. I'm going with Tom when he looks at Greg and he says, Greg?
I have to be clear. I have to. If I get drowsy and I miscall Colorado, instability, right? Then the U.S. loses credibility. China spots an opportunity, invades Taiwan, tactical nukes, fucking shit goes kablooey, and we're back to amoeba. It's a long way back from pond life because you failed to get me a double shot.
I just love this. As Tom is putting Greg back on coffee duty. Just, yeah.
And you know what, man? I'm going to go with what I call the eggplant exchange between Shiv and Roman.
That's great. I mean, I got 4 smileys from Gail. They think they've got it.
I have got eggplant flag from Mencken.
Well, 2 eggplants is not as much as 4 smileys, obviously.
4 smileys is symptomatic of the complacency at the heart of his out-of-touch campaign.
Eggplant flag reeks of the misogynistic bravado that has so repelled the median voter.
And let me tell you what, this is when writers go to college, you go to become a writer. This is like what you masturbate to, this being able to write this, because no human talks like this, really.
It's
But
wild.
it's awesome.
It is awesome. And Mattson, well, he spent most of the episode on the sidelines wearing some interesting pajama pants. What do you think, Mills? Do we still have a Mattson moment for America Decides?
Cards on the table, what I really want to see is the Lost episode with Mattson out in the town with Greg, dancing with old men and shit. I would really love to see that. But, you know, we do get one reference from him to that, and I think that's probably our Mattson moment.
I was talking last night to Oscar and Gregory Pegory about that.
I'm sorry, you spoke to Greg about this?
Yeah, well, he was part of a conversation just as a normalist.
Gregory Pegory, the normalist. I think there's a spin-off there. So what's the deal here, Mills? Are we still in the burn ward, or is this just a burn hospital at this point?
Everybody is extra crispy after this one. We'll start with Greg, because he obviously has no regard for Tom's feelings.
You know, I'm a little bit tense. Just a little bit tense.
Well, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good.
And Kendall, he doesn't have any time for Greg.
We're not talking to Greg.
Let's be honest. Greg really isn't ready to negotiate with Shiv.
Is there an offer?
Yeah. Yeah. How about I offer for you to keep all your internal organs on your insides rather than I pull them out your asshole?
And Tom does not really respect Pam.
Well, you're not a doctor, Pam, until you qualify. Why don't you get her on the air?
Nor does Tom have any love for Sid.
Yeah, probably because she couldn't get her cloven hooves into her regular shoes.
And surprise, surprise, Roman has zero sympathy for the Democratic Party.
My team's playing your team. It's only spicy because if my team wins, they're going to shoot your team.
Roman is usually tough to burn, but Macon's got some skills.
Yeah, well, I blame you. Couldn't deliver Connor, huh?
Roman goes ahead and takes his frustrations out on Tom.
By what authority?
By the power of me, the CEO of Waystar, telling you what to put on the telebox mouth people.
That makes sense. Roman doesn't like the prospects if they come out on the wrong side of this.
With FVA and Vera News backing him, we're left the most dickless eunuchs in Cucktown.
I mean, fuck it, right?
Nothing matters, Ken. Nothing fucking matters. Dad's dead, and the country's just a big pussy waiting to get fucked.
And give credit where credit is due. Roman Roy might be the first man ever to literally motorboat history.
We can pay for any damages. Let's just jam our fucking heads in the bosom of history and just...
And Shiv's hubris really caught up to her in this episode.
Who watches The Watchmen?
You know?
Who watches The Watchmen? I fucking do.
And Shiv can't hide her feelings about Kendall's ambition.
Says the man who'd cut his son's throat and then eat him on the high pass.
Consider Kendall unimpressed.
I wondered why you looked like a goose trying to shit a house brick, you piece of dirt.
Roman's not impressed either.
This is about the future of the country.
No, I think it's because you broke up with your boyfriend.
And I wonder if he meant Madsen or Tom. And shout out to Willa, speaking for all the UNC, Duke, and Kansas fans.
Fuck Kentucky.
And finally, I think it's safe to say that Hugo didn't vote for Jimenez.
And
Respect the process. Count every vote. Are you so fucking dull? Flop your dick out. Pop a nut. Do something.
Indiana Jones says,
That belongs in a museum.
but when it comes to Succession, we only care about what belongs on a t-shirt. Mills, any worthy t-shirt options from this episode titled America Decides?
I like Who Watches the Watchmen, and you got Shiv like with binoculars looking, and then Greg shiving her in the back. I think that'd be a good one. False flag seems pretty obvious. It's like an American flag t-shirt, but a Ravenhead, the Ravenhead dude on it. That one's obvious. Gregory Pegory, you got Greg as a cocaine-addled pirate, probably with eye patch. Maybe you got wasabi in that eye. Decision Desk Darwin, and it's just the boy Darwin just crying at his desk, either from the wasabi or because he got railroaded into, abandoning his principles. And then finally, the normalist. I haven't quite figured out. Greg's like in a bowling alley or at the grocery store or something, trying to act normal, but he's just Gregging the shit out of it.
That brings us to the Roy rankings. With only 2 episodes left to go, how the rankings look, man? Any movement up top?
I think had up to 18 characters we ranked in this one. We're just going to give you our top 5. We were in lockstep on our top 4. At 5, we have Frank. I actually had him 5. Jamie G, you had him 9. At 4, we both had Cousin Greg. At 3, we both had Jared Menken. At 2, we both had Kendall Roy. And at number 1, We both had Roman Roy, and I think that's probably a first for both of us for Roman being up top. So congratulations. For once, Roman, you're on top.
It is time to give a grade to America Decides. Let's stay on message and grade the episode on a scale of 1 to 10 electoral votes. Magnum Mills, please cast your ballot.
My fucking touchscreen's not working. 9.7 electoral votes. How about yourself?
I'm gonna one up you just by a smidge. 9.8 electoral votes. This episode was awesome.
All right. That brings us to our predictions. What do you think, man? We saw at the end of the episode here, Tom was catching some flack. Do you think he's really in trouble, or is this just other partisan news organizations hating on him?
I think it has the potential to be trouble, but right now it's just noise. Staying with Tom, what happens now that Shiv has told him she's pregnant with his child?
Tom quits his job before he can get fired to like try to help do something with the kid or whatever. I don't know, something like that maybe.
He's a stay-at-home dad. Wow. That's pond life. That's an amiibo right there. He's blowing up in Alaska. I hope so. I'm going to answer yes. My heart, you do what the heart wants. How long does Willa make it in Slovenia until she leaves Connor? Over unders 2 weeks.
I think it's exactly 2 weeks, exactly how long Arnold Schwarzenegger's character was going to stay on Mars in Total Recall.
Have you brought any fruits or vegetables onto the planet?
2 weeks.
What do you think, man? At the end of the day, do you think ATN wound up calling Wisconsin correctly?
No. Will Mencken wind up winning the election, or will it swing back the other way?
I think it's going to swing back the other way, but just because that feels like it would be the most succession-y thing for it to do. I don't have a strong feeling either way. I'm just betting why not, because we all think, that's that. So they wind up being, wrong to give it to him. Maybe that plays on Kendall's conscience, something like that. So what do you think, man? What's the next move for Shiv and Madsen?
Bonus time awarded.
I think Shiv is in all-out war mode, and I think that she is going to take it as far as she can, but in the end, she loses faith in Madsen and goes back with her brothers. And it sounds like the next episode is going to be Logan Roy's funeral. Man, they could go anywhere with this thing. Any predictions?
I think that somehow Shiv's going to find a way to get to talk, and she is just going to go after Mencken, like right at his fucking grill, burn the whole thing down if she has to. Total shit show, I'm thinking. Should be awesome. And what do you think, man? Are Kendall and Roman going to remain sort of united here, or will Roman's close relationship with Mencken drive them apart?
I think the wedge is already there, and it's going to drive them apart further, but might not happen as quickly as we think. I know we only have 2 episodes, but I think maybe that the wedge gets bigger this next episode, and then that final episode, it's full. You could drive a car through it.
All right, man, time for the big one. The end of the series, 2 episodes from now, who will be crowned the king or queen of Succession, so to speak?
I just haven't had enough to get off this soapbox. I don't know if I'm going to die on this hill or not, but I'm sticking with K-Dog, my boy Kendall Roy.
Man, I'm back to Cousin Greg. He's just doing it somehow, dude. He's failing upwards. And it might just be that they make him the CEO so he gets fired or goes to jail or something. I'm just thinking he gets to wear the crown, at least for a minute, even if it's just in a superficial manner. I mean, hey, maybe the deal happens and Madsen makes him CEO. Who fucking knows, dude? Anything can happen. All right, man, just one free-for-all prediction. Give me something.
Tom and Shiv do not get divorced, and they raise their child together.
I'm going with we get to see Logan Roy again soon, and it's in Roman's dream.
I'm going to double down on that and say we see Logan twice, once in this coming up episode and once in the final episode.
Fair enough.
Anything else before we get out of here?
All right, let's see here. Jamie G, only one time, if I've been told, it feels kind of sweaty, maybe wait a day. And that was on the worst honeymoon I've ever went on, my 6th. It was definitely the most disappointing of my 9 honeymoons. And honestly, I don't know whether I would consider it a compliment or an insult if somebody called me a normalist.
No, not for me. No.
What?
No, I'm just starting to feel normal from last night.
That is literally how I have felt the day after drinking every time since I turned 37. American bottled water with spaghetti and olive oil? Holy shit, I think they actually found a meal that Sally Reed could cook. Shout out Barry. Is there any film in these cameras? You might laugh, but that's exactly how Amazon's Citadel show wound up exceeding $200 million. And just because something's on fire doesn't make it news, tell that to my ex who decided to put the syphilis diagnosis on the Christmas card that year. Confident, but terrified. I don't know, is there a name for that feeling? Cuspy? I don't know how this is possible, but Shiv somehow knew my pledge name from back in my college fraternity days. Cuspy. Decision Desk Darwin. When you apply for the Decision Desk job, your application is legitimately just thrown right out the window unless your name begins with the letter D.
He's so fucking dull.
Ah, I see that Hugo and I are Eskimo brothers. That was Janice from Finnegan's Wake right there. I think that's who it was.
Do I need to get ready to be cozy with this fucking Mr. Scary?
Dude, that is not what you want to hear when you're just trying to be a solid wingman for your boy. And perhaps-ish, that's literally what I hear every time I ask a woman from that MILF dating site for her number. Sometimes they just want enough information to pull my credit report, but most of the time, they really just want to steal my identity.
Information. Greg, it's like a bottle of fine wine. You store it, you hoard it, you save it for a special occasion, and then you smash someone's fucking face in with it.
Again, very bad decision by my ex-wife to tell me that she was leaving me with a picture of her and her new boyfriend on the Christmas card. I hate Christmas cards.
Happy Hanukkah. Thanks for checking out Suc10. We'll be back next week to discuss the penultimate episode of Succession titled Church and State. Whew. Anything else to add, Mills, before we get out of here?
I mean, like the Offspring once said, man, I thought you had to keep them separated. Thank you for checking out Suc10. Again, find us wherever you get your pods. On the YouTube, search for Suc10 or Regular Dudes Watch Stuff on social media at Dudes Watch Stuff. Don't forget the flaps. Follow, like, and please subscribe. It's all we ask. If you had fun, don't forget the thumb. Thanks again for checking us out. On behalf of myself, Magnum Mills, and Jamie G, the real-life Disgusting Brothers. Remember, you don't want to get Greg down, and you can't make a Tomlet without breaking some Gregs.
Well, these hands aren't going to fuck themselves, so...
Go get yourself some Greglets before you get busted back down to Greg.